Perhaps you once lived in an era that history has forgotten. Perhaps you once stood beneath the Mesopotamian sky 5,000 years ago, looking up at the stars, and asked yourself a question that even today we still have no answer for. That question is not where we came from, but rather, who taught us to become human? Tonight, I will tell you a story that perhaps you were once a part of. A story about gods from the sky, about a mysterious planet that returns every 3,600 years, about beings who step down to Earth not to save us, but to create us. Take a slow breath now. Let your shoulders drop. Let your body settle into wherever you are resting. Imagine you are standing in the middle of what is now Iraq. Warm wind brushes across your skin. Golden sand drifts softly through the air. You bend down, and your fingers touch a piece of ancient clay. On it, tiny cuneiform marks, carved by the gentle hand of a Sumerian priest 5,000 years ago. He wrote, "The gods came from the sky. They taught us to plant grain. They taught us to build cities. They taught us to read the stars. And they told us that we are not children of the earth. We are their children." You read those lines and something stirs within you, as if you already knew this story. As if it is not mythology, but memory. If you are still listening to me, if you feel this story beginning to pull you in, please leave a comment with your time zone or where you are listening from, so I know you are here with me on this journey. And if you would like to travel through ancient mysteries with us each night, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Because tonight, I will not only tell you about the Sumerian gods, I will tell you about the Anunnaki, beings who came from a planet called Nibiru, a planet that modern science still has not found. Yet the Sumerians mapped its exact position on clay tablets 5,000 years ago. I will tell you about Enki, the god who mixed clay with his own blood to create the first human. About Enlil, the god who decided to wash away humanity with a great flood, because we were too loud, too many, too difficult to control. And I will tell you about a secret that the Sumerians knew, but we have forgotten. A secret about why humanity suddenly became so intelligent. Why we learned to build pyramids, to measure the cycles of stars, to heal the sick, while other species were still living in caves. That secret will be revealed in the middle of our journey. But before we arrive there, let me take you back in time. Back to a night 5,000 years ago, when the Mesopotamian sky was still clear and pure, untouched by the glow of city lights. You sit by the Euphrates River. Water flows gently past you. The moon hangs full and bright above. And you hear a voice. The voice of an old man, a priest, sitting quietly beside you. He says, "My child, look up at the sky. Do you see those stars? They are not just points of light. They are homes, the homes of the gods. And one day, they will return." You ask him softly, "What will they return to do?" He smiles, but his eyes carry a gentle sadness. He says, "To see whether we have grown worthy of the gift they gave us." If you stay with me tonight, you will come to understand that the answer about human origins does not lie in textbooks or scientific papers alone. It lies in the stories that history tried to bury. It lies in clay tablets hidden beneath desert sands. It lies in dreams you cannot quite remember, but your soul still holds. And when you finish listening to this story, you will no longer look at the night sky the same way. You will wonder, quietly, Are those stars looking back at us? Are they waiting for us to grow wise enough so that one day they can return? Now then, breathe deeply once more. Let your eyelids grow a little heavier. Let your mind begin to drift like a leaf on a slow river. And come with me, back to an era that no one remembers, but everyone has lived through. Back to Mesopotamia. Back to the cradle of civilization. Back to the place where everything began. Or perhaps, back to the place where everything was created. The story is waiting for you, and it will unfold gently, like the night itself. So let yourself settle in. Let yourself be carried. And know that you are safe here in this journey through time. Chapter 1, Mesopotamia, where the story begins. 5,000 years ago, if you stood in the desert where Iraq rests today, you would not see sand stretching endlessly before you. You would see water. Two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, flowing side by side like the twin veins of a living, breathing land. Between those two rivers lay the most fertile earth in the world. People called it Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers. And that is where our story truly begins. You step down to the bank of the Euphrates on a warm afternoon in July. The sun is lowering toward the horizon. The sky shifts from pale gold to soft orange, then deepens into rich crimson. The air is thick and warm, but a cool breeze rises from the river and brushes against your face. You breathe in the scent of damp earth, ripening wheat, wood smoke drifting from playhouses in the distance. You hear the laughter of children playing, men calling to one another, a donkey braying somewhere far off. You turn slowly, and you see a city. Not a city as you know them today, no towering glass buildings, no paved highways, but it is a city nonetheless. Walls of sun-baked brick rise about 30 feet high. Houses cluster close together, their flat roofs touching like old friends. Narrow lanes wind between them. And there, in the very heart of the city, a great pyramid-shaped temple called a ziggurat rises toward the heavens like a mountain built by human hands. You ask a man passing by, "What is this place called?" He looks at you with mild surprise, as if you have asked the most obvious question in the world. He says, "This is Ur, the city of the god Nana, the city of the moon." You step through the gates and into the city. The earth beneath your feet is damp and cool. On either side of the street, small stalls display their goods. People sell wheat and barley, fish and pottery. They do not use coins, they trade. A basket of grain for a clay jar, a fish for a woven cloth. You walk deeper into the city, and something strikes you as strange. These people do not look like the primitive figures you imagined. They do not wear rough animal hides. They do not live in crude shelters. They wear long white robes of woven linen. They adorn themselves with jewelry of gold and polished stone. Their hair is carefully groomed. Their faces are clean. They look like citizens of a civilization far more advanced than the Stone Age you expected. And stranger still, they can write. You see a man sitting by the roadside, a small clay tablet resting in his lap, a pointed reed in his hand. He is carving tiny wedge-shaped marks into the soft clay. You ask him gently, "What are you doing?" He looks up and says, "I am recording how much barley my family harvested this month. When it is time to pay taxes, I will have proof." You hear the word taxes, and something shifts inside you. Taxes. That means they have government. They have laws. They have organized society. You continue walking, and soon you come upon a school. Children, perhaps 10 or 11 years old, sit cross-legged on the ground. Each one holds a clay tablet. They are learning to write. An elderly teacher stands before them, his voice firm but not unkind. He says, "If you do not learn to write, you will never become priests. You will never serve in the temples. You will never be trusted to record the words of the gods." You notice the word gods, and you lean in a little closer. The teacher continues, "The gods taught our ancestors how to write. They gave us this gift, and we must honor it." You want to ask who these gods are, but you sense the answer will come in time. You leave the school and walk toward the great ziggurat that towers at the city's center. With every step, it grows larger, more imposing. It rises about 100 feet into the air, built in 3 broad tiers, each smaller than the one below, like a great stairway to the sky. At the very top sits a small temple, where people say the god Nana himself resides. You begin to climb the stone steps. Each one is about 8 inches high and 12 inches wide. You count them as you go. 50 steps, 100 steps, 200 steps. Your legs begin to ache. Sweat traces slow lines down your back. But you keep climbing, because something in you needs to see what lies at the top. Finally, you reach the summit, and there you stand on the roof of the ziggurat, looking out over the entire city of Ur. You see rooftops of baked clay stretching out in every direction, all the way to the horizon. You see the 2 rivers shimmering like ribbons of silver beneath the fading sun. You see fields of green barley swaying gently beyond the city walls. And you wonder quietly to yourself, how did they do this? How could a people appearing so suddenly 5,000 years ago build something so magnificent? Because before this moment in history, it was almost nothing. Archaeologists have proven it. Before 3200 BC, this region held only scattered villages. People survived by hunting and gathering. They did not farm. They did not write. They had no complex society. And then, almost overnight, everything changed. In the year 3200 before Christ, the Sumerian civilization emerged fully formed. And they did not just know how to plant seeds. They knew how to irrigate fields. They knew how to dig canals that carried river water miles into the desert. They knew how to craft wheels from wood and clay. They knew how to fire bricks in kilns. They knew how to smelt copper and bronze. They had a system of writing so intricate it would take years to master. They had a mathematical system built on the number 60, which we still use today to measure time. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. They possessed knowledge of astronomy so precise it staggers the mind. They knew that Earth revolves around the sun, not the other way around, a truth the Western world would not rediscover for another 4,000 years. They knew there were 9 planets in our solar system, though modern science did not confirm the existence of Pluto until 1930. And they even claimed there was a 10th planet, which they called Nibiru, a world we have yet to find. You stand there on the ziggurat summit, and a quiet unease settles over you. No civilization simply appears like this. Evolution takes time. From primitive hunter-gatherers to farmers takes thousands of years. From farmers to city builders takes thousands more. But the Sumerians accomplished all of this in mere centuries, as if they did not discover these things themselves. as if someone taught them. You step into the small temple that crowns the ziggurat. Inside, the air is cool and dim. A single oil lamp flickers softly in the corner. You see a stone statue, about 6 feet tall, carved in the shape of a man seated on a throne. He wears a crown with 2 curved horns. This is Nana, the moon god, one of the deities the Sumerians worshipped. But he is not the highest of the gods. Behind the statue, you notice a carving on the wall. It depicts a group of tall figures wearing long robes and cone-shaped hats. They stand upon something that looks like a flying vessel. Below them, ordinary people, Sumerians, kneel with their heads bowed low. And above the heads of the tall figures, there are stars. You gaze at this image, and understanding dawns slowly within you. Those figures are not human. They are the gods. And they came from the sky. You turn and step back outside, standing once more at the edge of the ziggurat. You look up as the first stars of evening begin to appear. 1 star, then 2, then 5, then 10, hundreds, thousands. And you wonder, softly, without urgency, is there someone among those stars looking back at me right now? Do they remember that they once came here? Do they remember that they once created us? You hear footsteps behind you, slow and deliberate. You turn to see an old man approaching. He wears a simple white robe. His beard is long and silver. He walks with a staff, his movements unhurried. But his eyes are sharp and alive, like the eyes of someone much younger. He stands beside you, and together you both look up at the stars. For a long moment, neither of you speaks. Then he says quietly, "You feel it too, don't you?" You ask, "Feel what?" He smiles gently. "The feeling that we do not quite belong here, as though we are children who were left behind, trying to remember the faces of our parents." You nod slowly. "Yes, that is exactly how it feels." The old man continues, "Our ancestors knew this feeling well. They remembered it clearly. They remembered the gods who descended from the heavens. They called them the Anunnaki. It means those who from heaven to earth came." You ask, "Where did they come from?" The old man lifts one hand and points toward the sky, somewhere beyond the stars you can see. From a planet we cannot see with our eyes alone. A planet with an orbit so vast and so distant, it only returns to our part of the sky once every 3,600 years. Its name is Nibiru. You take a slow breath. 3,600 years. That means the last time it came close was around 1000 BC, not long before the Sumerian civilization appeared. The old man nods, as if he can hear your thoughts. Yes, when Nibiru draws near, the gods descend from it. They taught our ancestors everything we know: how to write, how to count, how to plant seeds and harvest grain, how to build cities of brick and stone, how to heal the sick, how to read the movements of the stars. You ask, but why? Why would they help us? The old man is silent for a long time. When he finally speaks, his voice is soft. Because we are their children. They created us. not by natural birth, but by mixing their blood with the clay of this earth. We are half divine, half earthly, and they created us because they needed workers, laborers to do what they could no longer do themselves. A chill moves through you. Workers. That means we were not made to be loved. We were made to serve. The old man nods slowly. Yes, in the beginning we were slaves. But then something changed. There was one God, a God named Enki, who looked upon us with compassion. He taught us more than he was permitted to teach. He gave us knowledge. He gave us the gift of self-awareness. He gave us freedom. And that made the other gods furious, especially Enlil, the highest of them all. Enlil decided that humanity was a mistake, and he resolved to destroy us. You ask softly, but we are still here. The old man smiles, though his eyes carry sadness. We are still here because Enki saved us. But that is a story for another night. He turns to leave. You call after him gently. He pauses but does not turn around. You ask, will they return? The gods. Will they come back when Nibiru returns? The old man stands very still. Then he says, they always return. The question is not whether they will come. The question is, when they come, will we still be here? And then he walks away, his form disappearing slowly into the gathering darkness. You stand alone now on the ziggurat's roof. The wind has grown cooler. You pull your robe a little closer around you, but you do not shiver from cold. You shiver from the weight of what you have just learned. The possibility that everything you thought you knew about human history might be wrong. The possibility that we are not the result of millions of years of natural evolution, but the product of a deliberate experiment. The possibility that those gods are still out there, watching, waiting, counting the years until they return. And this is the lesson that the story of Mesopotamia offers you. Knowledge is not something we invented on our own. It is something that was given to us. Each generation is simply the keeper of a flame we did not light. And our responsibility is not to boast about how much we know, but to remain humble before all that we do not yet understand. Because perhaps what we call history is only the visible tip of something much larger. And beneath the surface lies a truth we have not yet dared to look at directly. Take a slow breath now. Let your body sink a little deeper into rest. Do you feel yourself standing there with me, on top of that ancient ziggurat, beneath a sky filled with countless stars? And do you feel, somewhere far beyond those stars, a presence watching over us, waiting patiently for the day when we are ready to meet again? The story is not finished. It is only just begun. But for now, let yourself drift. Let the images settle gently into your mind. And know that when you are ready, the next part of the journey will be waiting for you. Chapter 2. Anunnaki, Gods from the Sky. The night deepens around you. You remain standing on the ziggurat's summit, gazing upward at the vast tapestry of stars. They shimmer like millions of watchful eyes looking down through the darkness. You wonder quietly to yourself, among all those distant points of light, is one of them Nibiru? Is one of them carrying gods who are, even now, making their slow journey back toward Earth? You hear footsteps approaching once again, but this time they are lighter, softer, not the measured steps of the old man who left moments ago.
These belong to someone younger. You turn and see a woman walking toward you through the shadows.
She appears to be about 25 years old, wearing a simple white robe that moves gently in the night breeze. Her black hair flows long and loose over her shoulders. Her eyes are deep and dark, like ancient wells that hold secrets from times long past. She says nothing at first. She simply comes to stand beside you, and together you both look up at the stars in comfortable silence. After a few moments, she speaks, her voice soft and musical. You are searching for them, aren't you? You nod slowly. Who are they? She smiles, but it is a smile tinged with sadness, as though she is remembering someone she loved and lost long ago. She says, our ancestors called them the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came. But their true names, the names they called themselves in their own language, we never learned. They never shared that with us. They allowed us only to call them by the names we created for them. Anu, Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, Inanna, Utu. Those names are like echoes of something much older, much more distant, something we can never quite touch. You ask gently, where did they come from? She lifts one hand and points toward a particular region of the sky, somewhere beyond the constellation Orion. From there, from a planet that human eyes cannot see unaided, a planet whose orbit stretches so far out into the cold darkness beyond the worlds we know. It travels to the very edge of the solar system, then slowly returns, taking 3,600 years to complete a single revolution around the sun. Its name is Nibiru, the crossing planet, because it crosses through our sky, then vanishes into the deep, then eventually returns once more. You ask, why did they come to Earth? What brought them here? She turns to look at you directly. Her eyes catch the moonlight and seem to glow faintly. She says, because they needed something that only Earth possessed in abundance. Gold. You feel a small stirring of surprise. Gold. She nods. Yes, gold. But not for the reasons you might think. Not to craft jewelry or to hoard wealth. They needed gold to save their dying world. Nibiru is slowly dying. Its atmosphere is tearing away, escaping into the void of space. The warmth and light from distant stars are fading, and the only way they found to repair this damage was to create a reflective shield in their atmosphere. A fine mist of gold dust suspended high above their world, reflecting cosmic radiation back outward, trapping warmth inside, protecting their planet from the cold. Gold has unique properties. It does not rust or corrode. It reflects light perfectly, and if ground into particles fine enough and released into the upper atmosphere, it can float there for thousands of years, forming a protective barrier. But Nibiru does not have enough gold. They exhausted their mines long ago, so they had to search elsewhere. They sent expeditions throughout the solar system, looking, testing, measuring. They found gold here on Earth, vast quantities of it, buried deep beneath the surface, hidden in mines scattered across Africa, the Middle East, South America. And they decided they would extract it. You ask, but mining gold is difficult, dangerous work. How did they accomplish it? She looks down at the city of spread out below, where thousands of oil lamps flicker like earthbound stars in the darkness. She says, in the beginning they did the work themselves. The lower-ranking gods, the ones they called the Igigi, the workers who served the higher gods. They were sent down to Earth to dig in the mines. They descended into the depths of the earth. They labored for thousands of years, in darkness, in oppressive heat, doing back-breaking work that never seemed to end. And then one day, they could endure it no longer. They rebelled. They threw down their tools. They marched to Enlil's palace, the highest god ruling on earth, and they said, "We will work no more. Either you find someone else to do this labor, or we return to Nibiru and let your project fail." Enlil was filled with rage. He wanted to punish them severely for their disobedience. But Enki, who was Enlil's younger brother, the wiser of the two, the one with greater understanding and compassion, he proposed a different solution. He said, "Why not create a new being, a creature intelligent enough to understand instructions, but not so intelligent that it would question or rebel? A being that could work in our place." And Enlil asked, "Where would such a creature come from?" Enki smiled knowingly. He pointed down toward the earth below them. He said, "It already exists here. We need only improve upon it slightly." You feel your heartbeat quicken just a little. You ask, "What was that creature?" The woman looks at you directly, her gaze steady and calm. She says, "It was the primate, our distant ancestors. The apes who had learned to walk upright, who had lived on this planet for millions of years already. They had larger brains than other animals. They had nimble hands capable of grasping tools. They could fashion simple implements from stone and wood. But they had no true language. They possessed no self-awareness. They were merely intelligent animals, nothing more and nothing less." And Enki said, "We will transform them into something new. We will make them human." You swallow slowly. How did they do that? The woman turns her gaze back toward the stars. She says, "By mixing their blood with ours. By taking the essence of Anunnaki life, their genetic material, and weaving it into the genetic structure of the primates, creating a hybrid being, a creature that was half divine, half earthly, a being capable of thought, speech, learning, planning, but still weak enough, still dependent enough to obey commands without question." And so they did it. In some hidden laboratory deep beneath the ground, Enki and Ninhursag, the goddess of healing and medicine, they mixed divine blood with the clay of earth, and from that union, they fashioned the first human being. His name was Adamu. You draw a sharp breath. Adamu, like Adam in the ancient scriptures. The woman nods gently. Yes, exactly. The story preserved in your holy books is not mere mythology. It is ancient memory, distorted and simplified through thousands of years of oral tradition. Adamu was not formed from clay by some miraculous divine breath. He was created through biotechnology, through genetic engineering, through the careful blending of two different species. And when Adamu opened his eyes for the first time, when Enki looked upon what he had made, Enki knew in that moment that he had created something that could never be undone. You ask softly, "What happened next?" The woman says, "After that, they created more. They made hundreds of humans, then thousands. They set us down into the gold mines deep in the African continent. They commanded us to dig, and we dug. For thousands of years, we dug into the earth. We did not question why. We did not understand the purpose. We only knew that the gods had given us this task, and so we obeyed, because they were the ones who created us. They were, in a sense, our parents, and we were their children. But then something began to change. Enki watched us, laboring day after day. He saw our exhaustion. He saw our suffering. He saw that we did not comprehend why we had to endure this endless toil. And he felt compassion stirring within him. He decided he would give us a gift. That gift was knowledge. He taught us how to cultivate plants so we would not have to survive only on what we could hunt or gather. He taught us how to recognize medicinal herbs so we would not perish from simple illnesses. He taught us how to construct shelters so we would not have to sleep exposed to wind and rain. And most importantly of all, he taught us self-awareness. He told us, "You are not merely tools. You are living beings with the right to think, to choose, to determine your own paths." And when Enlil discovered what Enki had done, his fury was terrible. He confronted Enki and said, "What have you done? You have given them consciousness. Now they will no longer obey us blindly. They will begin to question. They will want to become like us." Enki replied calmly, "That is as it should be. We should never have created them as slaves in the first place. We should have created them as our children." Enlil shook his head slowly. He said, "You are too soft-hearted, brother. You will regret this choice. One day these humans will multiply beyond counting. They will become too numerous, too powerful, too unpredictable. And when that day comes, we will have no choice but to destroy them." A small chill moves through you. Destroy. The woman nods slowly. Yes, Enlil tried many times to destroy us. He sent plagues that swept through our populations. He withheld the rains and brought drought and famine. He tried every method he could devise to reduce our numbers, to remind us that we existed only by the gods' permission. But each time Enki found a way to save us. He taught us how to make medicines from plants. He showed us where to find water hidden deep beneath the ground. He gave us seeds that could survive in harsh conditions. Until finally, Enlil decided he would do something so vast, so complete, that not even Enki could prevent it. He would use water. He would submerge the entire world beneath a flood so great that nothing could survive. But that story, she says gently, I will share with you on another night. The woman turns as if to leave. You call after her softly. She pauses and turns back slightly. You ask, where are those gods now? She does not fully turn to face you. She simply says, they have returned home, back to Nibiru. But they made a promise before they left. They said they would return when their planet completes another orbit, when 3,600 more years have passed. And when they come back, they will examine what we have become. They will judge whether we deserve to continue existing. You ask quietly, do we deserve it? She stands very still for a long moment. Then she says, I do not know. Our ancestors believed we did. They built these great temples to demonstrate that we remember the gods, that we honor them, that we are worthy of the gift of life they gave us. But perhaps the gods do not care about temples. Perhaps all they care about is whether we remain useful to them. And if we are not, they will erase us as easily as wiping away a mistake carved into wet clay. She walks away slowly, her white robe fading into the shadows, just as the old man did before her. You are alone once more. You look up at the endless field of stars above. You search among them for Nibiru, though you know you cannot see it. You wonder, if that planet truly exists, if those gods truly are returning one day, what will we do? Will we flee in terror? Or will we welcome them with open arms? Will we be afraid? Or will we feel joy at their return? Because they are, in a sense, our creators. But they are also our masters. They gave us life, but they can also take it away. And this is the lesson that the story of the Anunnaki offers you tonight. No knowledge simply appears from nowhere. There is always a teacher who came before. There is always a beginning, a first spark, a hand that first lit the flame. And our responsibility is not to be proud, thinking we discovered everything ourselves. It is to be humble, acknowledging that we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. Whether those predecessors were gods from another world, or simply earlier generations of humans passing wisdom forward, the lesson remains the same. Learn, remember, pass it on, and always look upward at the night sky, because perhaps the answer to who we truly are lies not beneath our feet, but somewhere out there, hidden among the stars. Take another slow breath now. Let your shoulders soften. Let your body sink a little deeper into rest. Do you believe these gods truly existed? Do you believe that perhaps we are not the culmination of natural evolution, but rather the product of a deliberate experiment? If you can see this image forming in your mind, the image of beings from the sky looking down upon us with ancient eyes, please leave a comment below. Write the word yes, so I know I am not alone in wondering about these things, so I know that you too are feeling what I feel. Let that thought settle gently within you, and let yourself drift now, knowing the story will continue when you are ready. The next chapter is waiting for you, but there is no rush. The river of time flows slowly, and we have all the time we need. Chapter 3, Nibiru, the 12th mysterious planet. You leave the ziggurat as the moon climbs higher into the night sky. Your shadow stretches long and thin across the ancient stone steps. You descend slowly, one step at a time, your hand trailing along the rough brick wall to steady yourself. Your mind is full of images that will not settle. Gods descending from the heavens. Creatures formed from a mingling of divine and earthly essence. A distant planet that no human eye can perceive. You walk through the empty streets of Ur. Most of the city sleeps now. Only a few oil lamps flicker softly through narrow windows. You hear the wind moving gently through the clay rooftops. A dog barks somewhere in the distance. The Euphrates River flows steadily beyond the city walls, its ancient song unchanging. You make your way toward the city gate, pass through it, and walk toward the river. You want solitude. You want space to think. You want to gaze up at the stars without walls or roofs blocking your view. You find a quiet spot along the riverbank and sit down slowly. The earth beneath you is damp and cool. Cold water laps gently at your feet. You lean your head back and look upward. The Milky Way stretches across the darkness like a river of spilled milk. Countless stars scattered across the velvet blackness. Billions of them. Billions of worlds. And somewhere among them, hidden from sight, there is a planet called Nibiru. You hear footsteps approaching across the sand. You do not turn your head. You have come to expect these visitors now. You simply wait to see who will sit beside you this time. A middle-aged man settles down next to you without a word. He appears to be about 40 years old. His skin is weathered and darkened by years of sun. His hands are calloused and strong, the hands of someone who works the land. He wears the simple clothing of a farmer, nothing elaborate. For a time, he says nothing. He simply sits beside you and looks up at the same stars you were watching. After a while, he speaks, quietly. You are searching for it, aren't you? You nod. Nibiru. He smiles faintly. You will not find it with your eyes alone. Its orbit carries it too far away. But our ancestors knew exactly where it was. They recorded its position on clay tablets. They carved its path into temple walls. They calculated its cycle with precision down to the year. You ask gently, how did they do that? If they could not see it, how could they know it was real? He turns to look at you, his eyes calm and knowing. Because the gods told them. The Anunnaki came from Nibiru, so naturally they knew exactly where their homeworld was, how it moved through space, how long it took to return. And they taught our ancestors how to calculate its orbit. They taught us that the solar system contains not just the 9 planets we can observe, but 12 significant bodies. He begins counting on his fingers. The sun is 1, the moon is 2. Then Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. That makes 8. Then there are 3 more planets that our ancestors could not see with their naked eyes. But the Anunnaki told them these worlds existed. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. That brings us to 11. And the 12th is Nibiru. You feel a ripple of surprise move through you. But your modern astronomers did not discover Uranus until 1781. Neptune was not found until 1846, and Pluto remained hidden until 1930. How could the Sumerians have known about these worlds 5,000 years earlier? He nods slowly. Exactly. That is what makes this knowledge so remarkable. Our ancestors possessed no telescopes. They had no advanced instruments. And yet they knew. Because someone who had traveled past all those distant worlds told them. Someone who had seen every one of those planets with their own eyes. He rises to his feet and walks over to a flat stone nearby. He picks up a thin stick and begins to draw in the damp sand. First he draws a large circle in the center. That is the sun. Then he draws smaller circles around it in widening arcs, each one farther from the center than the last. These are the planets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then he draws a long ellipse, extremely elongated, stretching from near the sun out to the very edge of the pattern, far beyond all the other circles, then curving back inward. This is Nibiru's path. He points to the ellipse with his stick. This planet does not move in a neat circle like the others. It travels in a long, stretched orbit. It journeys outward to regions where the sun's light barely reaches, where cold and darkness reign. It remains in that far realm for thousands of years. Then slowly, it begins its return journey. It passes through the orbit of Pluto, then Neptune, then Uranus, then Saturn, then Jupiter. And when it approaches the inner solar system, when it draws near to Mars and Earth, when it enters the warm zone where life can flourish, that is when the Anunnaki can descend. That is when they can visit us. You study the drawing in the sand carefully. You ask, how long does it take for Nibiru to complete one full orbit? He answers, 3,600 years. In the reckoning of our ancestors, that period is called one Sar, one great cycle. Every Sar, Nibiru returns to our part of the sky. Every Sar, the Anunnaki have an opportunity to come back to Earth. Every Sar, we have the possibility of meeting the gods once more, or of being judged by them. You calculate quickly in your mind. If the last time Nibiru came close was around 1000 BC, roughly when Sumerian civilization began to flourish, then the next time it will approach would be around 2600 AD. About 5,600 years from this moment in 3000 BC. He nods as though he can hear your thoughts. Yes, we still have time before the next return, but in cosmic terms, that time is brief. 5,000 years for a planet is merely the blink of an eye. You ask, does your modern science believe in Nibiru? He laughs softly, a sound like wind through dry grass. Your scientists are still searching. They know something is out there. A massive planet, perhaps 10 times the size of Earth, hiding in the darkness at the edge of your solar system. They call it Planet 9 now, since they reclassified Pluto as a dwarf planet. They observe its influence through the strange movements of distant asteroids and ice bodies, objects that seem to be pulled by some enormous gravitational force they cannot fully account for. But they have not yet seen this planet directly. They have not photographed it. They have not proven it exists beyond doubt. And perhaps they will not find it until it chooses to reveal itself, until it completes its vast orbit and returns where human instruments can detect it. A small shiver moves through you. You ask quietly, when it returns, what will happen to Earth? He is silent for a long time. His eyes look far into the distance, as though seeing something beyond the present moment. Then he speaks. There are ancient stories, old warnings passed down through generations. They say that each time Nibiru draws near, Earth trembles. The oceans rise in great swells. Volcanoes awaken and pour fire into the sky. Storms rage across the land. The very axis of the planet shifts slightly. Because Nibiru is enormous and its gravitational pull affects everything around it, it tugs at the ocean waters. It pulls at the molten core deep within the earth. It even disturbs the air itself. And if it were to come too close, it could trigger catastrophes beyond our ability to imagine. But there are other stories as well. Stories that say the Anunnaki will not allow that to happen. They will carefully control Nibiru's approach, ensuring it comes only close enough for them to descend, but not so close as to destroy the world they once helped shape. Because we are their creation. And though they departed long ago, some of them still care about what becomes of us. Or at least, some of them do. Enki cares, but Enlil does not. You ask, if Nibiru truly exists, if it truly is returning someday, why did our ancestors build these temples? Why did they work so hard to maintain contact with the gods? He gestures back toward the ziggurat rising behind you in the darkness. Because they wanted to prove that we are worthy of being saved. They wanted to show the gods that we have not forgotten where we came from, that we still remember those who shaped us, that we still honor them, that we still serve the purpose for which we were made. And so when the gods return, they hoped those gods would look upon us with favor, that they would accept us, that they would allow us to continue existing. But that is only hope, of course, because the truth is, we do not know what the gods think. We do not know if they still remember us at all. We do not know whether, when Nibiru returns, they will descend to embrace us or to erase us. He stands slowly and brushes the sand from his hands. He says, "But there is one thing I am certain of. Every generation must tell this story again. We must remember Nibiru. We must remember the Anunnaki. Because if we forget, if we begin to believe that we created everything ourselves, that we are the masters of all we survey, that nothing greater than us exists, then on that day, we will truly be in danger. Not necessarily from the gods, but from our own arrogance, our own blindness. He turns and begins walking back toward the city. His voice drifts back to you across the night air. Stay a while longer. There is still more to learn. The greatest secret is approaching. The secret about why we were truly created. The secret that Enki hesitated to reveal, but finally had to share. You sit alone once more by the river. You gaze up at the heavens. You try to locate Nibiru among all those distant points of light, even though you know it is impossible. But you can feel it somehow. Somewhere out there in the vast darkness of space, a planet is moving. Slowly, steadily, inexorably. It has been traveling for thousands of years, and now it is on its long journey home. Perhaps it will not arrive in your lifetime. Perhaps not in your children's lifetimes either. But one day, one distant day, it will appear in Earth's sky once more. One day, people will look up and see a new star shining, brighter than all the others. And they will remember. They will recall the old stories their ancestors told. They will understand that what seemed like mythology was actually history, was actually memory, was actually warning. And this is the lesson that the story of Nibiru offers you tonight. Truth does not always reveal itself in what we can see. Sometimes it lives in what we cannot see, but can sense. Sometimes it hides beneath the surface, leaving only subtle traces behind. Sometimes it is preserved in ancient stories that we dismiss as fantasy, but which actually contain reality buried beneath layers of time. And your responsibility, our responsibility, is to never stop seeking, never stop questioning, never stop listening to what those who came before us tried to tell us across the millennia. Because perhaps they knew something we have allowed ourselves to forget. Perhaps they perceived something we have trained ourselves not to see. Perhaps they understood something we are afraid to acknowledge. That we are not alone. That we have never been alone. That somewhere out there, among those countless stars, there are eyes watching us, waiting, counting the years until they can return. Take a slow breath now. Let your chest rise and fall gently. Let your body settle more deeply into the earth beneath you. Do you feel it? That sensation of being observed? Not with malice, but with patient curiosity. As though someone is waiting to see whether we have grown, whether we have learned, whether we have become worthy. Rest here for a moment. Let the story settle into you like water soaking into dry ground. Because now I am going to tell you what our ancestors feared most, what they spoke of only in whispers when darkness fell. The truth about the real reason the Anunnaki created us. And I must tell you gently, it was not because of love. Chapter 4, Enki and the Creation of Man. You remain sitting by the riverbank as the night deepens around you. The sky has shifted from deep blue to pure black, and the stars have grown brighter, sharper, like tiny diamonds scattered across dark velvet. You feel tired, your body heavy with the weight of all you have learned, but your mind refuses to rest. Images keep turning over and over. Nibiru, the Anunnaki, gods from distant stars, and the question that will not leave you alone. Why did they create us? You hear the soft sound of water moving, not the steady flow of the river, but something else. The sound of someone wading slowly through the shallows. You turn your head and see a figure standing in the water, the surface reaching to his waist. He is extraordinarily tall taller than any human you have ever encountered, perhaps 7 feet or more. His skin is not darkened by the sun, like the Sumerians you have met, but pale, almost luminous in the moonlight. His hair is long and black, flowing over his broad shoulders. His eyes are bright and penetrating, with a quality that is difficult to name, as though he can see through you, through time itself, through the very fabric of reality. He says nothing. He simply stands there in the water, looking at you with those ancient, knowing eyes. And somehow, without anyone speaking a word, you know who he is. Enki, the god of wisdom and water, the god who shaped humanity with his own hands. You want to stand, to bow your head, to show some gesture of respect, but your legs will not obey you. You simply remain seated, gazing back at him. Enki steps out of the river. Water streams down from his white robe, but within moments the fabric is dry again, as though the water was never there at all. He sits down beside you, close enough that you can sense his presence fully. There is a smell around him, strange and unfamiliar. Not the scent of a human being, but something like the deep ocean, like cold metal, like the air just before lightning strikes. When Enki finally speaks, his voice is deep and resonant, warm, but tinged with an unmistakable sadness. You want to know the truth. It is not a question, it is a statement. You nod slowly. Enki gazes out across the river, watching the moonlight dance on the moving water. He says, "The truth is not as beautiful as what the priests tell in the temples. The truth is that we did not create you because we loved you. We created you because we needed you. We were exhausted. We were failing. And we needed someone to labor in our place." He turns to look directly at you. Let me tell you the story as it actually happened. Not the version that has been polished and softened for the temple ceremonies, but the version that I lived through. Long before you were born, long before humanity existed in any form, we, the Anunnaki, lived on Nibiru. It was a magnificent world. Deep blue oceans stretched between continents. Mountains rose toward skies filled with 2 moons. Great cities covered the land, towers of crystal and metal reaching upward, shining with captured starlight. We lived for thousands of your years. What you would consider a single human lifetime, we would consider barely the beginning of adulthood. We possessed technology that would seem like magic to you. We could travel between worlds. We could cure nearly any disease. We could even shape life itself, creating new forms from existing patterns. But there was one thing we could not do. We could not save our own planet. Nibiru is dying. Its atmosphere has been slowly tearing away, escaping into the void of space. The temperature drops with each passing century. The air grows thinner, and our people are dying. Our greatest scientists worked desperately to find a solution. They constructed enormous domed cities to trap what atmosphere remained. They developed systems to generate artificial air. They attempted countless approaches, but nothing provided a permanent answer. Until I, who was then called Ea, a young scientist not yet elevated to the position you now call a god, proposed an idea that changed everything. I said, if we cannot prevent the atmosphere from escaping, perhaps we can create a protective layer, a shield made of fine metallic particles suspended in the upper atmosphere. These particles would reflect harmful cosmic radiation back into space, trap warmth close to the planet's surface, and protect us from the killing cold. The council asked me what metal would serve this purpose. I answered, gold. Gold is the perfect substance for this. It does not corrode or degrade. It does not react with oxygen or other elements. It reflects light and radiation with remarkable efficiency. If we could grind it into microscopic dust and disperse it throughout our upper atmosphere, it would remain suspended there for millennia, forming a protective barrier that would save our world. They tested my theory, and it worked. The temperature began to rise. The air grew thicker and more breathable. People stopped dying from the cold and radiation sickness. Nibiru was saved. But there was a problem we had not fully anticipated. Gold does not last forever in that form. Over thousands of years, the particles gradually fall back to the surface. They are blown away by solar winds. They clump together and become too heavy to remain aloft. Every few thousand years, we need to replenish the supply. We need millions upon millions of pounds of gold continuously to maintain the shield that keeps our world alive. But Nibiru's gold deposits were exhausted. We had mined every accessible reserve on our planet. So we had no choice but to search elsewhere. We sent expeditions throughout the solar system. Mars had traces, but not enough. Venus was too hostile to mine effectively. The gas giants had no solid surfaces to excavate. But Earth was rich beyond our dreams. Gold lay buried deep in its crust, formed billions of years ago when the planet was young and molten. More gold than we had ever seen on any world. And so we came here. Not to conquer, not to rule, but simply to extract what we needed to save our home, to save our people. That is the only reason we came to Earth. And that is why when the Igigi, the workers we had brought with us, when they finally rebelled and refused to continue laboring in the mines, I had to find another solution. I had to create new workers. I had to create humanity. Not because I wanted to, not because I dreamed of playing creator, but because I had no other choice. Because without gold, Nibiru would die, and billions of lives would be extinguished. Enki's voice falls silent. The only sound is the gentle movement of the river and the soft whisper of wind through the reeds. You sit in the darkness, feeling the full weight of this truth settling over you like a heavy blanket. Humanity was not created because we were special, not because we were loved, not because the gods desired children. We were created because a distant, dying planet needed gold to survive. We are tools. We are instruments. We are the solution to a crisis we never knew existed. You feel something rising in your chest. Not quite anger, but something close to it. A deep sense of injustice. You want to speak, to protest, to say, this is not fair. We did not deserve to be made for this purpose. We are not slaves. But before you can form the words, Enki speaks again, his voice gentle. You are right to feel what you are feeling. You did not deserve to be created merely as instruments. That is precisely why I gave you consciousness. That is why I taught you to think, to question, to choose. I wanted you to be more than tools. I wanted you to have the right to refuse, the right to determine your own path, the right to say no. But to possess those rights, you must first understand the truth of your origins. You must know why you were made. And now you know. Gold. Everything comes back to gold. Thousands of years of human suffering, Thousands of years of back-breaking labor. Thousands of generations born, living, and dying in the darkness of those ancient mines. All for a soft, yellow metal. A metal that humanity would later prize above nearly all else. That you would shape into coins and crowns. That you would kill each other to possess. Not because it is inherently precious, but because buried deep in your genetic memory is the knowledge that you were created to seek it, to extract it, to value it above all else. That instruction was woven into your very being when I shaped you. And even now, tens of thousands of years later, you still carry that ancient programming. You feel your breathing quicken slightly. You ask, but if that is true, if we were made only to mine gold for you, then why did you give us consciousness? Why did you make us more than we needed to be? Enki is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks again, his voice is softer, almost tender. Because I watched you working in those mines, day after day, year after year, century after century. I saw the exhaustion in your eyes. I saw how you did not understand why you had to endure this endless labor. I saw that you were suffering without purpose, without meaning, without hope. And I could not bear it. My brother Enlil saw you only as tools that had served their function. But I saw you as something more. I saw the potential for what you could become. So I gave you the gift that makes you truly human. I gave you the knowledge of who you are. I gave you the ability to question. I gave you free will. And when my brother discovered what I had done, his fury was terrible. He said I had ruined you, that you would now be too dangerous, too unpredictable, too difficult to control. He said that one day you would multiply across the earth and become a threat. And he vowed that when that day came, he would erase you completely. You feel a chill move through you, despite the warm night air. Erase us. Enki nods slowly. Yes, he tried, multiple times. He sent diseases that swept through your populations like wildfire. He withheld rain and brought years of drought and famine. He attempted everything he could to reduce your numbers, to remind you that you existed only by our permission. But each time, I intervened. I taught you how to make medicine from plants. I showed you where to dig deep wells to find water. I gave you hardier seeds that could grow even in difficult conditions. I saved you again and again. Until finally, Enlil decided to do something so absolute that not even I could prevent it. He decided to use water, to flood the entire world and wash you away as though you had never existed. But that story, Enki says gently, I will share with you when the sun next rises. He stands slowly, water somehow still dripping from his robe, though it was dry moments before. He looks down at you with those ancient, luminous eyes. He says, you asked why I gave you consciousness. Here is the deeper truth. I gave it to you because I believe that every living being, no matter how or why it was created, deserves the chance to become more than its original purpose. A tool can become an artist. A slave can become a teacher. A created being can discover its own meaning. That is the gift I gave you. Not just consciousness, but possibility. The freedom to transcend your origins. And that is what Enlil has never understood, and never will. He sees only functions and failures, but I see potential. I see growth. I see beings who were made to dig in darkness, but who learned to build temples that reach toward the stars. Enki turns and walks back toward the river. His form seems to shimmer slightly in the moonlight. Just before he steps into the water, he pauses and speaks one more time without turning around. You carry divinity within you, not because we made you, but because you chose to become more than what we made you to be. Remember that. When the weight of your origins feels too heavy, remember that you are no longer merely what we intended. You are what you have made yourselves. And that is far more extraordinary. He steps into the river and vanishes beneath the surface without a ripple, as though he was never there at all. You sit alone by the water's edge. The night is deep and quiet around you. You look down at your hands. These hands that, according to Enki, were designed to grasp mining tools and break apart stone. But these same hands can also create beauty. They can write poetry. They can comfort the suffering. They can plant gardens. They can shape clay into art. And you understand now. You understand the lesson that this chapter has been teaching you all along. Your origin does not determine your destiny. The purpose for which you were made does not limit what you can become. Yes, humanity was created to serve. We were designed as workers. We were shaped to fulfill a function. But we have become so much more than that. We have transcended our programming. We have written our own story, on top of the story that was written for us. And that transformation, that act of becoming more than we were meant to be, that is, perhaps, the most human thing of all. Take a deep breath now. Let it out slowly. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension ease from your body. You have learned a difficult truth tonight, but you have also learned something liberating. You are not bound by your beginning. None of us are. We are defined not by how we started, but by what we choose to become. Rest now. Let these thoughts settle gently into your mind, like snow falling on quiet ground. The story will continue. There is more to learn, more to understand. But for this moment, simply be at peace with what you have discovered. You are more than you were meant to be, and that makes you extraordinary. Let yourself drift now. Let the river sounds lull you. Let the starlight wash over you. And know that whatever we were created to be, we have become something far greater. We have become human. And that is enough. Chapter 5: The Great Flood and the Wrath of the Gods. The sun has risen high above the horizon now. You stand up slowly from the riverbank, feeling your legs stiff and numb after sitting through the long night. You walk along the water's edge, letting the cool current wash over your feet with each step. You think about everything Enki has just told you, about humanity being created as tools, about being given consciousness as a secret gift, about Enlil, the highest god, who despised humanity for possessing that consciousness. And you wonder, if Enlil hated us so much, why did he not simply destroy us immediately? Why did he wait? And then you remember what the young woman said last night. Enlil tried, many times. You hear something in the distance. Not the sound of human voices, not the sound of animals, but water. Not the gentle flow of the river beside you, but something else. Something rising, something powerful, something fierce, like the entire ocean is rushing toward you. You turn your head and look back toward the city, and you see water. A wall of water hundreds of feet high, racing toward Ur with terrifying speed. You want to run, but your legs refuse to move. You can only stand there, watching this impossible wave approach. But strangely, as it draws near, it begins to slow. It stops just a few feet away from you, and within that suspended wall of water, you see images of the past, of a catastrophe that happened long before you were born. You see a different world, a world where humanity had multiplied and flourished, no longer just a few thousand workers in gold mines, but hundreds of thousands, millions. They had built great cities. They cultivated vast fields of grain. They had families. They had children. They laughed. They sang. They lived. And in Enlil's palace, high above the earth, the god sat upon his golden throne, looking down at humanity, and his face grew dark with displeasure. You hear Enlil's voice echoing from within the wall of water. His voice is cold and hard as iron. He says, "There are too many of them. They are too loud. At night I cannot sleep because of their laughter, their singing, the crying of their infants. During the day I cannot rest because of the smoke from their fires, the smell from their fields, the endless noise of their labor. They have spread across the earth like a plague, and I must stop them." You see Enlil calling a great council. All the Anunnaki gods gather in the vast hall. Enlil stands before them. He says, "Humanity is a mistake. Enki created them without thinking of the consequences. Now there are too many. They consume too much food. They use too much water. They pollute the air. And most importantly, they are beginning to forget that we are the ones who made them. They are starting to think they can live without us. I must teach them a lesson." Enki rises from his seat. He asks, "What do you intend to do, brother?" Enlil smiles, but it is a smile without warmth. He says, "I will send plague." And Enlil did exactly that. You see within the wall of water a strange sickness beginning to spread through human populations. People developed high fevers. They coughed blood. They died within days. Thousands perished, tens of thousands. Cities grew silent. Fields lay untended. And Enlil sat in his palace, satisfied. But then Enki took action. He descended to the human world. He taught people how to make medicine from plants and herbs. He taught them how to isolate the sick from the healthy. He taught them how to boil water before drinking it. And slowly, gradually, the plague began to recede. Humanity survived. They began to multiply again. Enlil was furious. He summoned Enki before him. He demanded, "What have you done? I commanded you not to interfere." Enki replied calmly, "I could not watch them die. They are my children." Enlil said coldly, "They are not children. They are tools. And if you continue to protect them, I will have to use stronger measures." 1 year later, Enlil sent drought. The sky refused to rain. Rivers shrank to trickles. Plants withered and died. Crops failed completely. Humanity began to starve. They ate grass. They ate tree bark. They ate dirt. Children cried from hunger. The elderly lay down and never rose again. Hundreds of thousands died. And once more, Enlil was satisfied. But once more, Enki intervened. He taught humanity how to dig deep wells to reach water hidden far underground. He showed them which plants could grow with very little moisture. He taught them how to preserve food through the dry seasons. And humanity survived again. They recovered. They grew in number once more. Enlil's patience was exhausted. He showed Justment his way, called the Council of Gods one final time. He said, "I have tried twice. Twice Enki has sabotaged my plans. Now I will do something that Enki cannot prevent. I will use water. I will submerge the entire earth beneath the waves. I will cleanse this planet of humanity. And this time, no one will be allowed to interfere." Enki stood. He said, "You cannot do this. Millions will die." Enlil replied, "Precisely. That is exactly what I want." Enki said, "But they are innocent. They are only trying to live." Enlil said, "They are innocent, perhaps, but they are a mistake, and I must correct that mistake." He turned to face the other gods. He asked, "Who agrees with me?" And slowly, hesitantly, the gods raised their hands. Not all of them, but enough. Enki looked around the chamber. He saw his sister, Ninhursag, who had helped him create humanity, also raising her hand. He asked her, "Why do you agree with this? You also participated in making them." Ninhursag replied sadly, "Sometimes, brother, love is not enough. Sometimes we must accept that what we created is not what we hoped it would be, and the kindest thing is to let them go." Enki shook his head. He said, "I cannot accept this." Enlil said firmly, "You have no choice in this matter. The council has decided. I will use the ice at the South Pole. I will cause it to melt. The water will rise. All the continents will be submerged, and no one will survive." Enki asked, "When?" Enlil smiled. "Very soon. When Nibiru passes close to Earth on its next approach. Its gravitational pull will tug at the ocean waters, pull at the molten core beneath the crust, pull at the ice covering the poles. And when the ice melts, water will flood across the land. I need only ensure that humanity does not know in advance. I need to ensure they have no time to prepare." Therefore, he commanded all the gods to swear an oath that no one would warn humanity. No one would help them. No one would tell them about the coming flood. And every god swore that oath, including Enki. He had to swear, because if he refused, Enlil would banish him from Earth, and then he would have no way to save anyone at all. But Enki was clever. He had sworn not to tell humanity directly, but he had not sworn that he would do nothing at all. You see, within the wall of water, Enki descending to the human world, he searches for one particular man, a good man, a righteous man. His name was Ziusudra. In some places, people called him Utnapishtim. In others, they called him Noah. Enki could not speak directly to Ziusudra, for that would violate his oath. So instead, he spoke to the wall of Ziusudra's house. He spoke loudly, as though talking to himself. He said, "Oh, what a tragedy that a great flood is coming. The water will rise higher than the mountains. Every living thing will perish, unless someone builds a large boat. A boat big enough to hold a family and pairs of animals. A boat that can float when everything else sinks beneath the waves. Ziusudra, who was working outside, heard the voice coming from inside his empty house. He went inside. He saw no one, but he understood. Enki had warned him without speaking to him directly. Ziusudra began building a boat, an enormous vessel, 300 feet long, 50 feet wide, 30 feet high. People laughed at him. They said, "You are insane. Why are you building a boat in the middle of dry land? There is no ocean here." But Ziusudra did not listen to their mockery. He continued building. He brought his family onto the boat. He brought pairs of animals onto the boat, one pair of each kind. And then it came. Nibiru passed close to Earth. Its gravitational force pulled at the ice covering Antarctica. The ice cracked. It melted. Billions of gallons of water poured into the oceans. The sea level rose rapidly, violently. Wave hundreds of feet high crashed onto the shores. Cities were submerged within hours. People ran toward the mountains, but the water pursued them. It swallowed everything. Houses, trees, animals, people. Everything vanished beneath the rising water. And Ziusudra's boat rose with the flood. It floated on the surface of the ever-rising water. Inside the boat, Ziusudra and his family heard screams, heard pleading, heard children crying. But they could not help. The boat was too small. There was no room for anyone else. They could only listen and pray. The water continued rising for 40 days and 40 nights. Rain fell without ceasing. The sky remained dark. Wind howled across the endless sea. And when the rain finally stopped, the entire world had disappeared. Only water remained. Water everywhere. No cities, no fields, no people. Only one boat, drifting alone on an infinite ocean. Enlil sat in his flying palace, looking down at the flooded earth. He was satisfied. He said finally, "I have cleansed this world. Finally, I have erased the mistake." But then he saw the boat. He was filled with rage. He said, "Influent letterly rose to thousand of selves. It was opposite selves which not begin to the help of justice." That the section said, "He was issue a lower that selves, that is beering." He said, "He water to take this world." He was Icolist, Enki before him. He shouted, "What have you done? You warned them." Enki replied calmly, "I did not speak to any human. I swore I would not, and I kept that oath." Enlil demanded, "Then how does that boat exist?" Enki smiled faintly. "I may have spoken to a wall, and the wall may have allowed Ziusudra to overhear, but I did not directly speak to any human." Enlil wanted to strike Enki down in that moment, but he could not. Enki was his brother, and he knew that if he killed Enki, the other gods would rebel against him. So he had no choice but to accept what had happened. He allowed Ziusudra to live, and from Ziusudra, humanity began again. The wall of water slowly fades away. You stand once more on the bank of the Euphrates River. The sun has climbed high into the sky now. You feel exhausted.
But you also feel grateful. Grateful that you are alive.
That your ancestors survived that ancient flood. That Enki saved humanity, despite having to work around his oath. And here is the lesson that the story of the Great Flood teaches you. In every catastrophe, there is always someone who does not give up. There is always someone who holds on to hope. there is always someone who believes that no matter how terrible things become, there is still a reason to continue. Ziusudra did not give up, even when everyone mocked him. Enki did not give up, even when Enlil commanded the destruction of humanity. And you, in whatever difficulties you face in your own life, you must not give up either. Because perhaps you are the one chosen to preserve hope for others. Perhaps you are the ark in the storm. Perhaps you are the reason the story has not yet ended. Take a slow, deep breath now. Let your chest rise and fall gently. Do you believe that humanity once came so close to complete extinction? Do you believe that we exist only because one man built a boat? Because one God chose love over obedience? According to you, is everything mere coincidence? Or is it cause and effect, the working of karma and consequence? Think about that quietly, and if you wish, leave your thoughts in a comment below. Let yourself rest now. Let these images settle into your mind like sediment drifting slowly to the bottom of a still pond. The floodwaters have receded. The story continues. But for now, simply breathe. Simply be. Simply rest in the knowledge that we survived, that we are still here, and that perhaps, just perhaps, we were meant to be. Chapter 6. Gold. The real reason for Anunnaki. You leave the riverbank as the sun climbs higher in the sky. The bright light makes you squint. You walk back toward the city of but you do not enter through the gates. Instead, you follow a narrow path that runs along the river's edge, heading south. You do not know why you are walking in this direction. You only feel something pulling you forward, as though a voice in your mind is whispering softly, "Keep going, keep walking. There is one more thing you need to see." You pass through fields of barley. Farmers are already at work, their backs bent low, their hands cutting stalks with copper sickles. They do not look up. They simply work, without stopping, as though they were born for this purpose alone. And perhaps, according to what Enki told you, that was indeed their original purpose. You pass through a small village. Clay houses stand close together. Children run and play in the dusty streets, their laughter bright and clear. A woman sits grinding wheat with a stone mortar. A man repairs a roof. Ordinary life. Simple life. None of these people know that they were created to work in gold mines. None of them know that their ancestors nearly perished in a great flood. They simply live. And perhaps that is enough. You continue walking. The path grows narrower. Trees and bushes grow thicker on either side. And then you see it. An entrance. A large cave opening in the hillside. The mouth of the cave is dark and deep, like the mouth of some enormous sleeping beast. You stop walking. You feel a cold breeze flowing out from within the cave. And you know, without anyone telling you, you know what this place is. This is a mine. One of the gold mines where the Anunnaki forced the first humans to labor thousands of years ago. You step inside. Sunlight fades quickly behind you. Darkness surrounds you. You reach out and touch the cave wall. It is cold, damp. You feel marks carved into the stone. The marks of picks and tools. The marks of human hands. You walk deeper into the tunnel. The passage grows narrower with each step. The ceiling lowers. You have to bend down. Then you have to crawl. You hear the sound of water dripping somewhere far ahead. You hear wind whistling through cracks in the stone. And you hear something else. Voices. Not the voices of people who are alive now, but the voices of those who died long ago, the echoes of the past. You hear the sound of picks striking stone, the sound of heavy breathing, the sound of someone coughing, the sound of someone moaning in pain, the sound of someone weeping. You stop moving, you close your eyes, and you see them, the first people, the Adamu. They are here, in this darkness, hundreds of them, thousands of them, working in suffocating heat, in thick, stale air, in the endless noise of metal striking rock. They do not know why they are doing this work. They only know that the gods have commanded them to do it, and so they must obey. They dig. They break apart stone. They search for veins of gold hidden deep in the earth. They pry loose each piece of gold. They place it in baskets. They carry it up to the surface. And then they descend again. Down again. Down again. Every day. Every month. Every year. Until they grow old. Until their hands can no longer grip the tools. Until their legs can no longer climb the stone steps. And then they die. Right here. In the darkness. No one remembers their names. No one knows they ever existed. You open your eyes. You press your hand against the cave wall. You can feel their pain soaking into your skin. You can feel their exhaustion weighing heavy on your shoulders. You can feel the question they never dared to ask aloud. Why? Why must we do this? Why is gold so important? And then you hear a voice, a familiar voice, the voice of Enki. He is not physically present, but his voice rises in your mind, as though he is standing right beside you in this darkness. Enki says, "You want to know why gold is so important? Why we were willing to travel millions of miles through space? Why we were willing to create an entirely new species just to mine it? Let me tell you, Nibiru is dying. I have told you this already, but I have not yet told you why it is dying, and why gold can save it. Long ago, when Nibiru was still young, when it still orbited close to the sun, it had a thick, protective atmosphere. That atmosphere shielded the planet from radiation coming from deep space. It trapped heat. It held light. It made Nibiru a world where life could flourish. But then Nibiru's orbit began to change. Perhaps because of a collision with a large asteroid. Perhaps because of gravitational forces from a passing star. We do not know exactly. But the result was that Nibiru began moving farther and farther from the sun. It began traveling in a long, elliptical path. Each orbit takes 3,600 years to complete. And during most of that time, Nibiru is very far away, in regions where sunlight barely reaches. As Nibiru moved outward, the temperature dropped. The air grew thin. The atmosphere began escaping into space, and our people began dying. Our scientists tried everything. They built enormous domed structures covering entire cities. They attempted to generate artificial atmosphere. They tried many approaches, but nothing worked for long. Until I, who was then called Ea, a young scientist before I was given the title of God, proposed an idea. I said, if we cannot keep the atmosphere from escaping, we can create a reflective layer, a layer of metallic dust suspended in the upper atmosphere, reflecting cosmic light back outward, trapping heat inside, protecting the planet from radiation. They asked me, what metal? I said, gold. Gold is the perfect metal. It does not rust, it does not oxidize. It reflects light extremely well. And if we grind it into fine dust and spray it into the upper atmosphere, it will remain suspended there for thousands of years, forming a protective shield. They tested my idea, and it worked. The temperature increased, the air grew thicker. People stopped dying from cold and radiation. The Nibiru was saved. But there was a problem. Gold does not last forever in that form. After several thousand years, the gold dust gradually dissolves. It falls back to the surface. It is blown away by cosmic winds, and we need to replenish it. We need more gold. Much more gold, continuously. Every few thousand years, we need millions of pounds of gold to prevent the atmosphere from tearing apart again. But Nibiru has no more gold. We mined every deposit on our planet. We used it all. So we had to search elsewhere. We sent ships throughout the solar system. Mars has no gold. Venus is too hot to mine. The gas planets have no solid surface. But Earth has gold. Earth has enormous quantities of gold, more than any other planet we have ever encountered. Gold lies deep in the crust, formed billions of years ago when this planet was young and molten. And we decided we would mine it. We came to Earth not to conquer, not to dominate, but simply to take the gold we needed to save our planet, to save our people. That is the only reason we came. And that is why, when the Igigi rebelled, when they refused to continue digging, I had to find another solution. I had to create new workers. I had to create humanity. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Because without gold, Nibiru would die, and billions of lives would be lost. Enki's voice falls silent. You stand in the darkness of the mine, feeling the full weight of this truth settling over you. Humanity was not created because we are special, not because we are loved, but because a distant planet needed gold to survive. We are tools. We are means to an end. We are the solution to a problem we never knew existed. You feel anger rising within you. You want to shout into the darkness. You want to say, "This is not fair. We did not deserve this. We are not slaves." But then Enki's voice rises again. His tone is gentle. He says, "You are right. You did not deserve that. That is precisely why I gave you consciousness. That is why I taught you to think. I wanted you to be more than tools. I wanted you to have the right to choose, to have the right to refuse, to have the right to say no. But to possess those rights, you must understand the truth. You must know why you were created. And now you know. Gold. It all comes back to gold. Thousands of years of human suffering. Thousands of years of endless labor. Thousands of generations born, living, and dying in these dark mines. All for a soft, shining yellow metal. A metal that humanity would later consider precious, would use as currency, would kill each other to possess. Not because it is truly valuable in itself, but because deep within your genes there is a memory of having to search for it, having to dig for it, having to treasure it. That memory was woven into your DNA when I created you, and to this day, you still carry it. You step out of the mine. Sunlight blinds you for a moment, and you shield your eyes. You breathe in fresh air. You feel wind blowing through your hair. You look up at the clear blue sky, and you wonder, Somewhere out there, on the Nibiru, is someone looking down at Earth right now. Is someone waiting for the next shipment of gold? Is someone grateful to the human ancestors who died in darkness so they could live? Or have they forgotten? Have they forgotten that there is a small blue planet, a species of beings created solely to serve them? Have they simply continued living their lives in brightly lit cities, beneath an atmosphere protected by gold dust, never thinking about the price that was paid? You sit down outside the mine entrance. You look at your own hands. These hands, according to Enki, were designed to hold picks and shovels, to dig for gold. But now they do many other things. They create art. They write stories. They touch others with tenderness and love. And you realize something important. No matter what purpose we were created for, we have transcended that purpose. We have become more than what they designed us to be. And that is our victory. And here is the lesson that the story of gold teaches you today. The value of something does not lie in the thing itself. It lies in the need of the one who requires it. Gold is precious not because it is beautiful, but because it can save a planet. Humanity has value not because we are perfect, but because we can do things that others need. But at the same time, we are not limited by the needs of others. We can create our own value. We can define our own purpose. We can choose to live not merely to serve, but to exist, to love, to create, to become. That is the gift Enki gave us, and that is what Enlil never understood. A tool can become a person. A slave can become free. A being created with one purpose can discover its own meaning. You stand up slowly. You turn your back on the mine. You begin walking away, and you do not look back, because you are no longer a person who dwells in darkness. You are a person who walks in light. You are no longer a tool. You are a human being, and that is all that matters. Take a slow breath now. Let your shoulders relax. Let your body settle more deeply into rest. Do you feel the weight lifting slightly? Do you feel the liberation in understanding that your beginning does not determine your end? You were made for one purpose, but you have become so much more. That transformation is the most remarkable thing about being human. Rest now. Let this truth settle gently into your heart. The story continues, but there is no hurry. Time moves slowly, like honey dripping from a spoon, and you have all the time you need to understand, to absorb, to become. Let yourself drift now, knowing that whatever you were meant to be, you have already become something far greater. You have become yourself, and that is more than enough. Chapter 7. What does modern science say? You leave the ancient gold mine behind and walk along the worn path back toward the city of Ur. The sun has moved past its highest point and now begins its slow descent toward the western horizon. Shadows from the trees stretch longer across the ground. You feel tired after this long journey through the past. But in your heart, many questions still remain. Everything you have heard, everything you have seen, could it all be merely legend? Could these simply be stories that ancient people told to explain things they did not understand? Or might there be some truth hidden within them? Some truth that modern science could actually prove? You stop beside the river. You look down at the water. And in the water's reflection, you see something different. Not your own face, but the image of a room. A bright room, flooded with white light. There are complex machines, computer screens displaying streams of data. And there is a man wearing a white lab coat, peering into a microscope. You step into that reflection, and suddenly you are no longer in ancient Mesopotamia. You are in a modern laboratory, the 21st century. The man turns and looks at you. He does not seem surprised to see you there, as though he has been expecting you. He says, "You want to know the truth, don't you? The truth from a scientific perspective." You nod slowly. He smiles. "Let me show you a few things." He leads you to a large screen. On it appears an image of a DNA strand. He says, "This is human DNA. Our genome contains approximately 3 billion base pairs, and within it, there is something very strange, something that scientists call the missing link, the connection that seems to be absent." He presses a button. The image changes. Now there are 2 DNA strands displayed side by side. One belongs to a human. The other belongs to a chimpanzee, the primate species most closely related to humans. He points at the screen. Humans and chimpanzees share about 98% of their DNA. This means we are extremely close in genetic terms. We shared a common ancestor approximately 6 to 7 million years ago. But there is something peculiar. Around 200,000 to 300,000 years ago, a new species suddenly appeared. Homo sapiens. Us. And we are not just slightly different from the primate species that came before us. We are dramatically different. Our brains are 3 times larger. We have the capacity for complex language. We have the ability for abstract thought. We have the ability to plan for the future. And the strangest thing is that all these changes happened very quickly, far too quickly by normal evolutionary standards. Usually, major changes like these require millions of years. But in humans, they occurred in just a few 100,000 years. Some scientists say this was random mutation. Some say it was natural selection pressure. But there are other scientists, those who dare to think differently, who ask the question, could it have been intervention? You swallow. Intervention from whom? He looks directly into your eyes. From someone who possessed biotechnology far more advanced than ours. Someone who took primate DNA and edited it, added new genes, created a hybrid species. A species that is half Earth primate, half something else. You ask carefully, is there any evidence for this? He nods. Not direct evidence, but there are signs. For example, in our genome there are segments of DNA called junk DNA. These are segments that scientists initially thought had no function. But later, they discovered that some of these segments have a structure that appears designed, as though someone deliberately placed them there. Furthermore, there is another strange thing. Human chromosome number 2 shows signs of fusion, as though it was created by merging 2 smaller chromosomes together. This is very unusual, and some people believe this is evidence of genetic editing. He moves to another screen. This is a genetic map of humanity, and when scientists analyze it, they discover something interesting. All humans on Earth can trace their origins back to a small group in Africa, approximately 200,000 years ago. A group of only a few thousand people, as though humanity did not evolve from many different places, but began from a single point, from a single experiment. You feel a chill run down your spine. You ask, But if this is true, if someone did edit our genes, who were they? Where did they come from? He is silent for a moment. Then he says, "We do not know, but we do know that the universe is vast. There are billions of galaxies. Each galaxy contains billions of stars, and many stars have planets. The probability that we are the only intelligent species in the universe is essentially zero. There must be other civilizations out there, civilizations older than ours, more advanced than ours, and perhaps one of them came to Earth long ago. They saw the primates here, and they decided they would create something new. They would create us." He leads you to another corner of the room. Here there is a large map of Earth. On the map are red dots marking various locations. He points to them. These are the locations of the oldest gold mines in the world. All of them are in Africa, some in South Africa, some in Zimbabwe, some in Tanzania. And when archaeologists excavated these mines, they discovered something astonishing. These mines were not natural formations. They were dug by humans, or at least by human-like beings. And their age is remarkable. Some of these mines are estimated to be 100,000 years old, some even 200,000 years old. This means that at a time when we thought humanity consisted only of simple hunter-gatherers, someone was already mining gold, digging deep into the earth, using tools, organizing labor. And the question is, why? Why would primitive people need gold? They could not make tools from it because it is too soft. They could not eat it. They could not use it for anything practical. So why did they dig for it? Unless someone told them to dig. Unless someone needed the gold for another purpose. A purpose that humans at that time did not understand. You remember what Enki told you. Gold to save Nibiru. Gold to coat the atmosphere. Gold to retain heat. You ask, but does Nibiru actually exist? Is there really a 9th planet, or 10th planet, or 12th planet, or whatever number, out there somewhere? He nods. That is the big question, and the answer is, possibly. In recent years, astronomers have discovered something strange. Asteroids at the edge of the solar system, beyond Pluto, are moving in unusual orbits, as though there is a large gravitational force pulling them. That force cannot come from the sun because they are too far away. It cannot come from the known planets because they are not large enough. So it must come from something else. A large planet, perhaps 10 times the size of Earth, hiding at the edge of the solar system. Scientists call it Planet 9, the 9th planet. They have not seen it directly yet, but they see its effects. They see how it bends the orbits of other celestial bodies. And they are searching for it. They are scanning the sky with the most powerful telescopes. They are analyzing data. And perhaps within the next few years, they will find it. They will capture the first photograph of a planet that the Sumerians knew about 5,000 years ago. You feel your heart beating faster. You ask, if they find it, does that mean all the stories about the Anunnaki are true? He shakes his head slowly. Not necessarily. Just because there is a 9th planet does not mean there are people living on it. Does not mean they came to Earth. Does not mean they created us. That remains a hypothesis, an interesting hypothesis, but unproven. Science requires evidence. We would need to find an ancient spacecraft. We would need to find their technology. We would need to find undeniable traces of their presence. And so far, we do not have those things. But, he says, his voice dropping lower, that does not mean they do not exist. Perhaps we have not looked in the right places. Perhaps they are buried too deep. Perhaps they have been destroyed by time. Or perhaps the Anunnaki took everything with them when they left. They did not want to leave traces. They wanted to let humanity find its own path. He leads you to a large photograph hanging on the wall. It is an image of the Great Pyramid of Giza. He says, "Look at this. This pyramid was built approximately 4,500 years ago, during a time when we believe the Egyptians had only copper and stone tools. But the stone blocks of this pyramid weigh 2.5 tons each. Some blocks weigh as much as 80 tons. How did they cut them? How did they transport them? How did they stack them to a height of 146 meters with precision down to the millimeter? We can propose theories, ramps, levers, thousands of workers, but no theory fully explains everything. And there are other details. The Great Pyramid sits precisely at 29.9981 degrees north latitude. This number, when converted to feet, exactly matches the speed of light in feet per second. 299,792,458. Coincidence? Furthermore, the three pyramids of Giza are aligned perfectly with the three stars in Orion's belt. And their positions reflect the position of those stars not 4,500 years ago when the pyramids were built, but 10,500 years before Christ. As though the pyramid builders wanted to mark a specific moment in the past, a moment of special significance, perhaps the moment when the Anunnaki arrived, or the moment they departed. You stare at the photograph of the pyramid. You feel something is not quite right. Those enormous stone blocks, that astonishing precision, that advanced astronomical knowledge, all from a civilization we consider primitive. You ask, are there other constructions like this? He nods. Many. Stonehenge in England, stones weighing 25 tons transported from 200 miles away. No one knows how. Puma Punku in Bolivia, 8-shaped stone blocks cut with machine-like precision, perfectly flat surfaces, perfect 90-degree angles, with copper and stone tools. Impossible. Gobekli Tepe in Turkey, a temple complex built 12,000 years ago, before humans even invented agriculture. Enormous stone pillars carved with intricate images, all deliberately buried, as though someone wanted to hide them. And there are more. Cave paintings depicting beings in suits that look like spacesuits. Stone statues with unusually elongated heads. Skulls found in Peru shaped unlike any human skull. All of these are pieces of a larger puzzle, a puzzle that modern science has not yet solved. He turns to face you. So, to answer your question, what does modern science say? Science says, we do not know yet. We have more questions than answers. We have suggestive evidence, but not proof. We have interesting hypotheses, but nothing we can verify. But one thing we know for certain, the universe is larger than we imagined. The past is more complex than we thought. And it is very possible indeed, that we are not alone. It is possible that other civilizations have visited Earth. It is possible they left traces. And it is possible that one day we will find those traces. We will understand the truth. And then we will know who we are, where we came from, and where we are going. The image of the laboratory slowly fades. You are standing once more beside the Euphrates River. The sun is setting now. The sky turns orange and red. And you realize something important. Science and mythology are not opposites. They are two ways of looking at the same truth. One uses data and logic. One uses stories and symbols. But both are searching for answers to the same question. Who are we? And here is the lesson that science teaches you tonight. Truth is not afraid of examination. Only lies fear questions. If the stories about the Anunnaki are true, science will eventually discover it. If they are merely mythology, science will reveal that too. But in either case, the search itself has value. Because in the process of searching, we learn more about ourselves. We learn humility. We learn that we do not know everything. And that is perfectly fine. Because the journey toward truth is more important than having already arrived. Take a slow breath now. Let your mind settle. Let your thoughts drift gently, like leaves on a quiet stream. Do you think science and mythology are sometimes not so different? Do you believe that perhaps both are telling the same story, just in different languages? Rest in that possibility. Let it comfort you. The search continues. The questions remain. And that is exactly as it should be. Let yourself drift now into peaceful rest, knowing that truth, whatever it may be, is patient. It will wait for us to find it. And when we do, it will still be there, unchanged, eternal, welcoming us home. Chapter 8. The Remaining Traces. You walk along the riverbank as twilight descends around you. The sky shifts from orange to purple, then deepens into dark blue. The first stars begin to appear, twinkling like tiny lanterns being lit one by one across the vast darkness. You think about what the scientist just told you, about evidence that suggests but does not prove, about questions that remain unanswered. And you wonder, if the Anunnaki truly once came here, if they truly once lived among humanity, did they leave anything behind? Are there traces that survived through thousands of years? You hear a voice calling, not with your ears, but with your mind. A voice without sound, yet somehow you hear it clearly. It says, "Come. Look. We are still here. We never really left." You turn your head, and you see a path made not of earth or stone, but of light. It stretches from beneath your feet, across the desert, across oceans, across mountains, extending to every corner of the earth. You step onto that luminous path, and as you do, time and space begin to dissolve. You are no longer in one place. You are in many places at once. You find yourself standing before the Great Pyramid of Giza. You are no longer in Mesopotamia. You are in Egypt, but not modern Egypt, ancient Egypt, 4,500 years ago, when the pyramid had just been completed. You look upward. It towers into the sky, 146 meters high, 480 feet. Its surface is not the golden sand color you see today, but brilliant white, covered with polished white limestone slabs that gleam like mirrors. Under the sun, it shines like a star fallen to earth, and at the very top sits a small pyramidal capstone made of gold. It reflects sunlight, creating a beam of light so brilliant it can be seen from hundreds of miles away. You step closer. You reach out and touch the stones at the base. Each block weighs 2.5 tons, 5,000 pounds, but they are fitted together so precisely that you cannot slide a knife blade between them. No mortar, no adhesive, just stone touching stone with perfect precision. You walk around the pyramid slowly. You realize it is not simply a massive pile of rocks. It is a mathematical structure. The ratio between the base perimeter and the height is exactly 2 times pi. The golden ratio appears everywhere in its design, and its 4 sides face precisely north, south, east, and west, with an error of only 3/60ths of 1 degree. How did they do this? With a compass. But the ancient Egyptians had no compass. So what did they use? They used the stars. They observed the stars. But to observe stars with such precision requires extremely advanced astronomical knowledge. Knowledge that, according to mainstream history, they should not have possessed. Unless someone taught them. You hear footsteps behind you. You turn around. A man stands there. He is very tall, taller than any Sumerian you have met, about 7 feet. His skin is bronzed, and he wears the long white kilt of an Egyptian, but there is something unusual about him. His eyes, they shine with a light that is not quite human, as though illuminated from within. He speaks, his voice deep and warm, but carrying a note of ancient sadness. You want to know how we built it? You nod slowly. He smiles gently. We did not build it ourselves. We only directed. Humanity built it, but we gave them the plans. We gave them the tools. We gave them the knowledge. He points up toward the pyramid's peak. You see that golden capstone? That is not merely decoration. It is a generator. It absorbs energy from the sun and from the earth itself. It transforms the entire pyramid into a massive power plant. The Egyptians did not know this. They simply followed our instructions. They thought it was a tomb for the pharaoh, but it is not. It is an energy station, a communication hub, a beacon to let those in the heavens know that we are still here. You want to ask more, but he vanishes, and you find yourself standing somewhere else. You are at Stonehenge, England, 3,000 years before Christ. Enormous stone blocks stand in a circle. Each stone rises 30 feet high, weighing 25 tons, 50,000 pounds. They were transported from Wales, 200 miles away, with no wheels, no roads, only human strength. Or at least, that is what people say. You step into the center of the stone circle. You feel energy. Not electrical energy, but something else. Something that vibrates. Something that makes your skin tingle. Something that makes your heart beat faster. You look up at the sky. The sun is setting precisely between 2 standing stones. The summer solstice, the longest day of the year. Stonehenge is not random. It is a calendar, an enormous stone calendar. It marks special points throughout the year. Summer solstice, winter solstice, spring equinox, autumn equinox. And when the sun or moon passes through these points, light enters Stonehenge in specific ways, creates specific shadows, sends specific signals. To whom? To the gods in the sky, to let them know that on Earth, humanity still remembers them, still worships them, still waits for their return. A voice rises from the stones. Not the voice of one person, but the voices of many. The voices of all who have come here over 3,000 years. All who have stood in this circle and looked up at the sky with hope. They say, we have not forgotten. We still remember. We still wait. You feel tears sliding down your cheeks. You do not know why you are crying. Perhaps because of the loneliness. The loneliness of a species left behind, abandoned by those who created them. And now, they can only look up at the sky and hope. Hope that one day the gods will return, will remember them, will not leave them alone anymore. You move again. You are at Punku, Bolivia, 12,000 feet above sea level, 4,000 meters. The air is thin, difficult to breathe. But here there are enormous stone blocks cut with astonishing precision. Perfectly flat surfaces, perfect right angles, perfect drilled holes, as though made with modern machinery. Yet they were created thousands of years ago. You touch an H-shaped stone block. Its surface is smooth as glass. You take a strand of hair and place it on the surface. The hair slides down. No friction. Perfect flatness. Today, to achieve such flatness, we need laser grinding machines. But the people here had no lasers. What did they have? They had someone teaching them. Someone who brought tools. Someone with technology far beyond their time. You look around. These stones are not a temple. They are a foundation. Foundation for something larger. Something that has disappeared. Perhaps a palace. Perhaps a spacecraft. Perhaps something we have no name for. You move again. You are at Gobekli Tepe, Turkey. 12,000 years before Christ.
Before agriculture, before writing, before the wheel.
But here stands a complex temple site. Stone pillars rising 16 feet high, 5 meters, carved with images of animals, foxes, snakes, wild bulls, vultures, and other strange images. Beings that look like nothing on earth. Beings with large heads, with large eyes, with long arms. You look at one pillar. On it is carved an image of 3 bags, 3 carrying bags, or perhaps 3 boxes, 3 somethings that the carver wanted to remember. 3 things the gods carried with them. You have seen the same image in many other places around the world. In Sumeria, in Egypt, in Mexico, in Peru. Civilizations separated by thousands of miles, with no contact with each other, yet all drew 3 identical bags. Coincidence? Or a sign of a common origin? A common teacher? A god who traveled the world, carrying 3 bags, teaching humanity the same things. And the strangest thing about Gobekli Tepe is that it was deliberately buried. Someone used thousands of tons of earth and stone to cover it, to hide it. Why? Perhaps because a catastrophe was coming. Perhaps because of the Great Flood. Perhaps someone wanted to protect it, wanted to preserve it for the future, wanted to leave a message saying, "We were here, we built this, and one day, when you are advanced enough to find it, you will know, you will remember, you will understand that you are not alone." You move again, this time faster. You see images flashing past. The Nazca lines in Peru. Enormous lines drawn in the desert, visible only from the air, depicting a monkey, a bird, a spider, and a human figure with one hand raised as though waving hello. Waving to whom? To those in the sky? the Moai on Easter Island. Enormous stone statues, hundreds of them, each weighing 14 tons, 28,000 pounds, carved from a single quarry, transported across the island, erected standing, facing the ocean, facing east, facing where the sun rises, facing where the gods came from. Baalbek in Lebanon. Stone blocks weighing 1,000 tons, 2 million pounds, the largest in the world. No modern crane can lift them. So who lifted them 4,000 years ago? Teotihuacan in Mexico. The city of the gods. The pyramid of the sun. The pyramid of the moon. And the avenue of the dead. A perfectly straight road stretching 2 miles, aimed precisely at the celestial pole, as though it leads to heaven. All these places, all these structures, built by different civilizations, at different times, in different locations, but all share common features. All are too advanced for their time. All relate to astronomy. All point toward specific stars, and all speak of gods who descended from heaven. You stop moving. You stand, surrounded by all these images, and you understand. These are not isolated structures. They form a network, a global network of signs. Signs meant to tell those in the sky, we are here. We remember you. Please come back. And they are also signs meant to tell future generations, to tell us. Remember, search, question. Do not accept what they tell you. Do not believe you know everything, because there are secrets buried deep in the earth. There are truths written on stone. There are stories carved on cave walls. And if you search, you will find. You will know. And you will understand that history is not what they teach in schools. The past is more complex, more interesting, more mysterious. And perhaps, very possibly, we are not the first advanced civilization on this planet. You return to the bank of the Euphrates River. Night has fallen completely. The moon shines brightly. And you look up at the stars with different eyes, no longer seeing them as distant points of light, but as places where someone might be living, where someone might be looking down, where someone might be remembering this small blue planet, this species of beings they created long ago, and wondering, are they all right? Do they remember us? Are they ready for the next meeting? And here is the lesson that these remaining traces teach you tonight. History is not a dead past frozen in time. It is a river still flowing. It still whispers things not yet told. It still hides secrets not yet discovered. And our responsibility is not to accept what we are taught, but to search for what is hidden. To question what seems obvious. To look at ancient stones and ask, who placed them there? To look at cave paintings and ask, what are they trying to say? To look up at the sky and ask, is someone looking back down at us? Because perhaps the answer lies not in books, but in the stones. Not in what people say, but in what they built. Not in what was written, but in what was buried. And if you listen carefully enough, if you look closely enough, you will hear, you will see, you will know. Take a slow breath now. Let your chest rise and fall gently. Let your body sink deeper into rest. Do you feel yourself standing there with me, surrounded by these ancient wonders, these monuments that whisper secrets across the ages? The traces are all around us. We need only open our eyes to see them, open our minds to understand them. Let yourself rest now. Let these images settle softly into your consciousness, like snow falling on quiet ground. The mystery remains. The search continues. But for now, simply be at peace. Simply breathe. Simply know that we are part of something much larger than we ever imagined, and that truth, whatever it may be, is waiting patiently for us to discover it. Chapter 9. Will Anunnaki return? You are still sitting by the riverbank as dawn begins to break once more. A full day and night have passed, or perhaps more than that. Time seems to have lost its meaning after the journey you have just taken. You have traveled through 5,000 years of history. You have met the gods. You have witnessed secrets. And now, as the first light of a new day touches your face, you understand. You understand the secret I promised to reveal at the beginning of this journey. The secret is not whether the Anunnaki exist or not whether they created us or not whether they will return or not. The secret is this: we are the Anunnaki. Not literally, of course. Not in the sense that we come from Nibiru, but in a deeper sense. We carry their DNA within us. We carry the consciousness that Enki gave us. We carry the potential to become gods to another civilization. Think about this for a moment. Right now, humanity is learning to travel through space. We are sending ships to Mars. We are searching for other planets that could support life. We are developing biotechnology, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence. And one day, perhaps not far in the future, we will find another planet. A planet with primitive life, with ape-like creatures beginning to walk upright, with brains slightly larger than other animals. And when that happens, we will face a choice. The same choice that Enki and Enlil faced. Should we interfere? Should we edit their genes? Should we give them consciousness? Should we create a new species? And if we do, we will become their Anunnaki. We will be their gods. We will be their creators. And one day, thousands of years later, they will sit by a river on their planet, looking up at the stars, and wonder, did someone create us? Will they return? And the cycle will continue. That is the greatest lesson this story wants to tell you. We are not the end point of evolution. We are the midpoint. We are the bridge between past and future, between those who created us and those we will create, between the old gods and the new gods. And our responsibility is not to worship those who made us, nor to become tyrannical gods to those we will make. Our responsibility is to learn from the mistakes of the Anunnaki. Enlil wanted control. He wanted humanity to be nothing more than tools. And when we were no longer tools, he wanted to destroy us. That is the path of power, the path of fear, the path of control. Enki wanted freedom. He wanted humanity to have consciousness, to have the right to choose, to have the ability to grow. And he was willing to endure our mistakes, because he knew that only through mistakes do we learn. That is the path of love, the path of trust, the path of patience. When we become creators, which path will we choose? Will we be Enlil, or will we be Enki? Will we create slaves, or will we create children? Will we demand obedience, or will we give the gift of freedom? That is the question each generation must answer, and how we answer will determine who we are. You stand up slowly. The sun has fully risen. Golden light floods across the land. The city of is awakening. You hear voices, children laughing, animals calling, the sounds of life. And you look back at everything you have seen. Mesopotamia, where it all began. The Anunnaki, beings who came from the sky. Nibiru, the mysterious planet making its way back. Enki, the god who created us and gave us consciousness. The Great Flood, the catastrophe we barely survived. Gold, the real reason we were created. Modern science, still searching for proof. The traces left behind, mysterious structures across the world, and the promise that one day they will return. All these pieces fit together to form a picture of our origins, our purpose, our future. And now that you know this picture, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? How will you live? How will you treat others? How will you care for this planet? Because every action you take, no matter how small, is part of the answer that humanity is writing. The answer to the question that will one day be asked. Are you worthy? In this modern age, when you wake up on any ordinary morning in the 21st century, you face challenges that your Mesopotamian ancestors could not have imagined. Climate change, war, inequality, pollution, mass extinction. These challenges seem too large, too difficult, too late to fix. But remember the story of Ziusudra. One man, one boat, and he saved all of humanity. Remember the story of Enki, one god who defied his brother, defied the council of gods to protect us. Remember that the greatest changes often begin with a single small decision, a choice, an action. And if enough people make the right choice at the same time, miracles can happen. Humanity can change. We can learn to live in peace. We can heal the planet. We can become worthy of the gift that Enki gave us. And when Nibiru returns, when the Anunnaki once more set foot on Earth, they will not see a species destroying itself. They will see a species that has matured, a species that has learned its lessons, a species that has passed the test. And Enlil, no matter how stern he is, will have to admit, Enki was right. We are worthy. We have always been worthy. That is the hope. That is the possibility. That is the future we can create, if we choose. You begin walking away from the riverbank toward the city of toward daily life, toward people who do not yet know this story. People who still think they are just ordinary humans on an ordinary planet in an indifferent universe. And you wonder, should you tell them? Should you share what you have learned? Or should you keep it to yourself, like a secret, like a private gift? And then you hear Enki's voice one final time, not from outside, but from within, from your mind, from your heart. He says, tell them, share it, spread it, because truth is not meant to be hoarded. It is meant to be passed along. And every person who hears this story, whether they believe it or not, a seed is planted. A seed of change. A seed of consciousness. A seed of hope. And one day those seeds will sprout, will grow, will become a forest. And that forest will cover the entire planet. And when the Anunnaki look down from Nibiru, they will not see a barren desert. They will see a garden.
A garden that humanity has grown from the seeds that Enki planted.
You step into the city. Sunlight warms your skin. You look at the people passing by. Each one carries a story within them. Each one carries the DNA of the gods. Each one carries the potential to change the world, if they choose. And in that moment, you feel a connection, not just with the people around you, but with all of humanity, with all who have lived, and all who will live, with Ziusudra, who built the boat, with Enki, who gave us consciousness, with those who built the pyramids, Stonehenge, Puma, Punku, with those living right now, trying to make the world better, and with those not yet born, who will inherit the planet we leave behind. We are all connected. We are all one. We are all Anunnaki. And that is the final truth, the greatest truth, the truth that took all night to tell. Your origin matters less than your journey. Whether we were created by gods from Nibiru or evolved from primates on Earth, whether we are the result of genetic engineering or a fortunate cosmic accident, it does not change one truth. We are here. We have consciousness. We have the capacity to love, to create, to change. And that is all that matters. Not where we came from, but where we are going. Not who created us, but who we will become. Not our past, but the future we choose. And when tonight you lie down to sleep, when you close your eyes and let your mind drift away, remember that you are part of this grand story. You are not just a small human on a small planet. You are a child of the gods. You carry the DNA of the stars. You are the bridge between earth and sky, between past and future, between what was and what could be. And one day when Nibiru appears in the sky, when the gods return, when the final question is asked, you will be part of the answer that all of humanity will give together. We are worthy. We have learned. We have grown. We have become what you hoped we would become.
We have become gods to ourselves.
Sleep well now. Dream of the stars. And when you wake, remember that each day is a new opportunity to write the story, to create the future, to become worthy of the gift of life. And if you want to hear other stories, other journeys through time and space, other secrets of history, come back to me, because there is so much more that has not yet been told. About Atlantis, the sunken continent, about ancient civilizations in Antarctica, about other gods from other stars, about the cycles of history that repeat again and again, about secrets that time has buried. But tonight, rest. Let what you have learned seep into your mind. Let it change how you see the world. And remember that you are not alone. You have never been alone, and you will never be alone. Take one more slow breath. Let it fill your lungs completely. Then release it gently. Let your body relax fully. Let your mind become still. Do you feel it now? The peace, the understanding. the connection to something vast and eternal. You are part of the cosmos. You are part of the great story. And that story continues, with or without our awareness. But how much richer it becomes when we understand our place in it, when we recognize our potential, when we embrace our responsibility. If you agree with me, if you believe that we can become better, that we can become worthy of the gift we were given, please leave a comment with the number 1. If you think we cannot change, that we will always be as we are now, please leave the number 2. And if you are not sure, if you are still thinking, that too is an answer. Because thinking is the first step toward change. Rest now in that possibility. Let yourself drift into peaceful sleep, knowing that the future is not yet written, that we still have time, that we still have choice, and that perhaps, just perhaps, when the gods return, they will find us ready. They will find us transformed. They will find us worthy. The story ends here for tonight. But the greater story, the story of humanity itself, that story continues. And you are writing it. With every breath you take, every choice you make, every moment you live. Write it well. Write it with wisdom. Write it with love. And may your dreams be filled with stars. Conclusion. You are still sitting by the river as dawn breaks fully over the horizon once again. The sun climbs slowly into the sky. Its light is golden and warm. The sky shifts from deep purple to soft pink, then to pale blue. A new day has arrived. 1 full day and night have passed since you first climbed the ziggurat. Or perhaps it has been longer. Perhaps time moves differently when you travel through the past. When you walk with gods, when you see the hidden threads that connect all things, you feel tired, yes. Your body is heavy. But your mind feels strangely light, as though a burden you did not know you were carrying has been lifted. You think about everything you have witnessed. Mesopotamia, where civilization was born. The Anunnaki, who descended from the stars. Nibiru, the wandering planet on its endless journey. Enki, who shaped humanity and gave us the forbidden gift of consciousness. Enlil, who saw us as tools and wanted to erase us when we became more. The Great Flood, which nearly washed us away. The gold mines, where our ancestors labored in darkness. Modern science, searching for proof among the stars and stones. The traces scattered across the world, monuments that whisper ancient truths. And the promise that one day, when the cycles align, they will return. All these pieces have come together. The puzzle is not yet complete. Perhaps it never will be. But you can see the shape of it now. You can see the pattern. And now I will tell you the final secret, the secret I promised at the very beginning, the secret that ties everything together. Listen carefully. The secret is not about them. It is about us. The secret is not whether the Anunnaki exist. The secret is not whether they created us or whether we evolved naturally. The secret is not whether they will return. The secret is this, and listen closely, for this is the heart of everything. We are not the end of the story. We are the middle. Right now, at this very moment in human history, we stand at a threshold. Behind us lies the past. 5,000 years of recorded history, perhaps hundreds of thousands of years of forgotten history. Before us lies the future, thousands or millions of years that have not yet been written. And we, living in this present moment, we are the bridge. We carry within us the DNA of those who came before, whether they were gods from Nibiru or simply earlier humans who learned and grew. And we will pass that DNA forward to those who come after, whether they remain on Earth or spread to other worlds. We are the keepers of the flame, not the ones who lit it, not the ones who will see it burn out, but the ones who must carry it through the darkness and pass it safely to the next generation. That is our purpose. That is our responsibility. But here is the deeper truth, the truth that changes everything. We are not merely carrying forward what was given to us. We are adding to it. We are transforming it. We are becoming something new. Think about what humanity has accomplished. We began as workers in gold mines, created to serve. But we did not remain workers. We became farmers. We became builders. We became artists and poets and musicians. We became scientists who can split atoms and map genes and send our voices across the void of space. We became philosophers who ask the deepest questions. We became healers who ease suffering. We became teachers who light the way for others. We took the raw materials we were given, this flesh, this mind, this spark of consciousness, and we shaped them into something far greater than our creators intended. That is the miracle. That is the triumph. That is what makes us worthy. And here is what this means for your life today. In whatever century you live in whatever circumstances you find yourself, you too are not limited by your beginning. You too can become more than what you were made to be. Perhaps you were born into poverty, but you can create wealth. Perhaps you were born into ignorance, but you can seek knowledge. Perhaps you were born into pain, but you can cultivate joy. Perhaps you were born alone, but you can build community. Your origin does not determine your destination. The hand you were dealt does not define the game you will play. You have the same gift that Enki gave to the first humans: consciousness, the ability to choose, the power to change. And now, as you sit here by this ancient river, as the same water that flowed 5,000 years ago flows past your feet right now, you must decide. What will you do with this knowledge? How will you live differently? Because knowledge without action is merely entertainment. Truth without transformation is just information. And you have been given more than information tonight. You have been given a mirror that shows you not just what you are, but what you could become. In the world you live in now, in the 21st century or beyond, you face challenges that seem overwhelming. The planet is warming. Species are vanishing. People are divided. Conflicts rage. Suffering continues. And it would be easy to feel hopeless, easy to think that one person cannot make a difference, easy to believe that we are too far gone, too broken, too lost to be saved. But remember Ziusudra, one man who refused to give up, who built a boat when everyone laughed, who saved humanity because he believed it was worth saving. Remember Enki, one god who defied the council, who broke the rules, who gave us a gift that could have cost him everything. One person, making one choice, can change the course of history. And you are one person, with one choice before you. Will you live as though this knowledge matters? Or will you return to sleep? Will you become part of the solution, or remain part of the problem? Will you be a bridge to a better future, or just another piece of the past? The choice, as it has always been, is yours. But understand this clearly. The Anunnaki may or may not return. Nibiru may or may not exist. These stories may be literal truth or powerful metaphor. But regardless, the lesson remains the same. We are being watched, not necessarily by gods in the sky, but by the future itself, by the generations not yet born, by the version of humanity that will exist 1,000 years from now. And they are asking the same question Enlil asked. Are we worthy? Will we survive? Did we learn? Did we grow? Did we become wise enough to inherit the stars? And the answer to that question is being written right now. By you, by me, by every human alive today. With every choice we make, every action we take, every moment we choose love over fear, wisdom over ignorance, compassion over cruelty, hope over despair. We are writing the answer together. And when the judgment comes, whether from returning gods or from the simple laws of cause and effect, whether from Nibiru or from the consequences of our own actions, the answer will be clear. Either we were worthy, or we were not. Either we learned, or we perished. Either we grew into our potential, or we destroyed ourselves before we could reach it. But it is not too late, not yet. The story is still being written. The ending is not yet determined. And you, yes you, listening to these words right now, you have a role to play. You are not a bystander in this cosmic drama. You are a participant. You are a writer. You are a creator. What you do matters. How you live matters. The choices you make, the kindness you show, the truth you speak, the beauty you create, the healing you offer, the bridges you build, all of it matters. All of it becomes part of the answer. You stand up slowly from the riverbank. Your legs are stiff from sitting so long. You stretch. You feel your muscles awakening. The sun is warm on your face now. You look out across the river one more time. The water flows endlessly, as it has for millions of years, as it will for millions more. Constant, eternal, unchanging, and yet constantly changing. The same river, but never the same water. That is what we are like. Humanity is the river. Each generation is the water. We flow forward. We carry what came before. We become what comes after. And in between, for our brief moment, we are ourselves, unique, irreplaceable, essential to the flow. You turn away from the river and begin walking back toward the city. The golden light of morning surrounds you. You hear birds singing their dawn chorus. You hear the city waking, people beginning their daily routines, children calling to each other, animals making their morning sounds. Life continuing, as it always has, as it always will. You think about all the people who have sat by this river before you. The Sumerians who first built Ur, the priests who climbed the ziggurat to meet the gods, the farmers who worked the fields, the children who played by the water, the lovers who walked hand in hand along the banks. all of them gone now, all of them dust. But also, in a way, all of them still here, living on in you, in your DNA, in your consciousness, in the stories that have been passed down through countless generations until they reached your ears tonight. You are them, and they are you. You're the same, separated by time but connected by something deeper than time. Connected by the thread of consciousness that Enki wove into humanity so long ago. The thread that makes us all one. And one day, perhaps 1,000 years from now, perhaps 10,000, someone else will sit by this river. They will look up at the stars. They will wonder about their origins. They will ask the same questions you have asked tonight, and someone will tell them a story. Perhaps the same story you heard tonight, or perhaps a new story, one that includes what we do next, what we accomplish or fail to accomplish in the years to come. And they will wonder, as you wondered, is it true? Did it really happen? Are we really children of the stars? And the answer, as always, will depend on what we choose to believe, what we choose to become, what we choose to create. You reach the gates of the city. You pause there for a moment. You look back one more time at the ziggurat rising above the rooftops. That ancient temple, that bridge between earth and sky, that monument to humanity's longing to reach beyond itself, to touch the divine, to understand the mystery. And you realize that we are all like that ziggurat. We are all bridges between earth and heaven, between animal and God, between what we were given and what we can become. We stand with one foot in the mud and one reaching toward the stars. And that is exactly where we are meant to be. Not fully one thing or the other, but both. And something more, something new, something that has never existed before and will never exist again in quite the same way. Human. Wonderfully, terribly, beautifully human. You step through the gates. The city surrounds you. Life continues. The sun continues rising. The story continues. And you carry within you now a seed, the seed of everything you have learned tonight. Plant it carefully. Water it with attention. Let it grow into understanding. And one day, when the time is right, share its fruit with others. Tell them the story. Remind them who they are. Remind them where they came from. Remind them where they could go. If they choose, if they try, if they believe. This is the gift I give you at the end of our journey together. Not answers, for the greatest truths cannot be simply answered, but questions. Better questions. Deeper questions. Questions that will stay with you, that will grow within you, that will change how you see the world and yourself, and your place in the grand story of existence. Take these questions with you. Live with them. Let them shape you. And remember, always remember, that you are not alone. You are part of something vast and ancient and ongoing. You are a note in a symphony that has been playing since before memory and will continue long after your part is done. But your note matters. Your part is essential. Without you, the music is incomplete. So play it well. Play it with all your heart. Play it with courage and wisdom and love. And know that somewhere, somehow, the universe is listening. The gods are listening. The future is listening. Listening to hear what we will become. listening to learn whether we are worthy, listening to discover whether the experiment that began so long ago, whether by design or by chance, will succeed or fail. The answer is not yet written, but we are writing it, right now, together. One choice at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. Breathe now, deeply, fully. Let the air fill your lungs, then release it gently. And with that breath, release any doubt, any fear, any burden that weighs too heavily. You are enough. You have always been enough. You were made from stars and clay and divine breath. You carry infinity within you, and you have the power to choose who you will become. Choose wisely. Choose bravely. Choose love. And may your dreams be filled with light. May your path be guided by wisdom. May your heart remain open to wonder. And may you always remember this night, this story, this truth, that we are all connected, all one, all divine, all human, all perfectly imperfect, all exactly what we need to be. Rest now. Sleep well. The journey is complete, but the adventure has only just begun.